super excited right now, and usually I don't film at night because, you know, lighting, so sorry that this lighting is kind of not great, but so something really crazy happened to me 2 nights ago. Well, actually about a week ago, I DM'd Jerry Falwell Jr., who is the president of my university. I DM'd him on Instagram and I said, hey, like, I make a YouTube channel, or I make YouTube videos about eating disorder recovery, and I was hoping that you would help me get them out there and share them with people because I want as many people to benefit as possible. And I didn't expect to really get a response, but then at like midnight on Wednesday night, this past Wednesday, my phone goes off and it's like, ding, you have a DM from President Jerry Falwell, and I'm like, I what? And I check it and he's like, hey Sarah, like, if you want to share your channel on your Instagram story and tag me, I will share it on my Instagram story. And so I was just floored because this is something that I've prayed for. I've prayed that God would use this channel, and he did. And so I shared it, and then Jerry Falwell shared it, and so hopefully because of that, people who otherwise wouldn't have had access to any of these videos now have access to them. So that's a great thing, and I'm just praising God for that so much. Yeah, but anyway, so what I wanted to talk to y'all about tonight is one of the concepts of DBT, dialectical behavioral therapy, which is the primary type of therapy that therapists and counselors use for eating disorders. And I realized that lately I've been making a lot of videos about like emotions and feelings and stuff that's happening, and so I wanted to do some more like educational ones, I guess. So if you're in eating disorder recovery, if you've ever been in a treatment center, if you've ever been in a outpatient setting, you probably know about DBT. If you're a loved one, you may not, so this is probably for you guys. DBT is too much to unpack in one short video, so I'm just going to talk about one particular facet of it today, and it's what I think for me is, I guess I can't say that it's the most important, but it's been very important to me in my recovery. It's still important to me, and it's something that I have to work on all the time. So anyways, yeah, what I want to talk to you guys about today is called distress tolerance. Now, what that probably sounds like is calming down or being chill or handling stress, and that's not wrong, but I wanted to read you guys a definition that I found on goodtherapy.com. Don't sue me for reusing your definition. Okay, so it says, distress tolerance skills address the tendency of some individuals to experience negative emotions as overwhelming and unbearable. People with a low tolerance for distress can become overwhelmed at relatively mild levels of stress, and many react with negative behaviors. A key ingredient of distress tolerance is the concept of radical acceptance. Radical acceptance. We hate radical acceptance. Radical acceptance is basically what it sounds like. When you say something is radical, it usually means something that goes against something really hard, like pushes back against something really hard. And so radical acceptance is accepting something that you absolutely do not agree with. And there's a difference between radical acceptance and resignation, because when you're resigned to the fact that something's gonna happen, you're like, okay, this sucks, I hate everything, I can't do anything about it, and your mindset is completely negative, and you're just angry, and you're not gonna try to even live a good life because this X situation cannot be changed. And then radical acceptance, on the other hand, is saying, okay, this situation, I can't change it, and it sucks and I hate it, and it's still happening. So how can I take this situation that I'm dealing with right now that I can't change? That's the key, is that you can't change it. How can I take this situation and still live a meaningful life and make the best of my situation? This is super, super hard. One of the things that most people, radical acceptance refers to in a treatment setting is being in treatment and doing the things that you don't want to do in treatment. For instance, be there at all. A lot of places, most places, you have to give up all access to your phone. You have to commit yourself to this facility where you are going to be forced to do things that are terrifying, in hopes that you can create a life worth living. And so yeah, that's radical acceptance, and that's basically where distress tolerance kind of centers around. But there are 4 different parts of distress tolerance that are helpful. This is like developed by Marsha Linehan, and she has a whole DBT skills workbook that you can buy. I have it. I don't have it with me at school, but I plan on bringing it back after fall break because it's really, really helpful. Yeah, but anyway, so the first thing you can do when you're really, really overwhelmed and you feel like the world is crashing down and you might have a panic attack or something is distract yourself. I have some notes. This was my journal when I was at Veritas the last time in treatment, this past spring. So for me, distracting, to distract myself, I used counting. I would start at a really, really high number and I would just count down from it. Sometimes I would get stuck and have to start counting over again, but that goes with OCD tendencies, so let's not talk about that right now. Otherwise, I would distract myself, and anybody who worked at Veritas or was with me at Veritas while I was there knows that the song Africa by Toto was my absolute jam. And I had a lot of panic attacks there, and when I would have a panic attack, somebody somewhere would find a way to play Africa. Usually it was like a therapeutic assistant, a TA, or a therapist, or a nurse, or even somebody who had access to a phone, and they would just Google it and they'd play it and be like, listen, Sarah, just focus on the words of the song, and they would sing and make it silly, and it actually helped a lot. It helped to calm me down because I was focusing on my therapist not knowing any of the words to Africa but still trying, and it's actually hilarious. So yeah, distraction is the first thing that I would try to do when you're in a situation that is freaking you out completely and you feel like your body cannot handle. The second part of distress tolerance is called self-soothing. Again, this sounds pretty straightforward. Things that you can do to calm yourself down. For me, obviously, you guys know this about me. I'm a Christian, and for me, quoting scriptures, certain scripture that means a lot to me, helps to soothe me, so as well as praying and singing worship songs. Psalm 46 is my. People say they have a life verse. I don't know if it's my life verse, but it's this season of my life verse. And it's actually where my God is greater than the highs and lows tattoo comes from. But I memorized that and I quote it to myself when I need to remember that my God is bigger than what I'm going through. And honestly, that's really what soothes me when I'm freaking out the most. There's other things you can do for self-soothing that help. Hold something freezing cold. We had ice packs in my treatment center, and they were so helpful. It doesn't seem like it would be helpful, but it's all about engaging your senses and grounding and helping you be in the present moment. Because like when you're panicking, you might forget where you are, you might forget what's going on, and you're just like, ah. But if you can center in on something that's really cold and you just feel it, and it kind of helps you to just like regain kind of some sense of where you are and what's going on, and thinking about the coldness or the texture or things like that is really helpful. There are other ways to self-soothe. Some people use essential oils. I personally don't, because I don't like strong smelling things, but some people do. Some people do meditation and yoga, which is kind of similar to praying. You know, meditating is, you know, focusing on your inner self, and I won't pretend to know everything about meditation and yoga, because I just don't. But some people do that. The third thing about distress tolerance is, I literally looked at it and just forgot it. Improving the moment. Okay. So improving the moment is all about improving the moment. So let me give an example. Okay, so you have to eat a meal and you're completely freaking out about it. Maybe it's a fear food. Maybe you don't think that you can handle it. And you take a step away from the table and you're like, I can't do this. Improving the moment is taking a step back and thinking, okay, what is one thing that I can do that can make this more bearable? For me, it's usually call my mom or call a trusted friend. For other people, it may be to fidget a fidget spinner or a stress ball or something sensory. But it's all about knowing that this moment can be better, and I'm gonna take actions to make it better. And you can really do that with your imagination, and let it go wild. Whatever you think you need in that moment to make it better, just do it, as long as it's good for you. Disclaimer. So my laptop is dying. The fourth thing, and this is the last thing I'm going to talk about for now, may the force be with you. The fourth part of distress tolerance is weighing the pros and cons. So again, when you're in a super, super intense moment, you might not be able to do this part. You may not be able to weigh the pros and cons of your situation, because you might just be too, out of it and just palpitating or whatever's going on within your body. So you probably want to go through steps 1 through 3 first before trying this one. But as a person who loves writing and a person who loves tasks and lists, pros and cons, recommend 2 thumbs up, because even when I'm super, super like anxiety, I'm super, super anxious and stressed out, I can always find good in my situation if I look really hard. And another thing you can do with the pros and cons list is write out, this is the way that I want to react to this. This is the good that it will provide me if I do this action, and this is the bad that will happen as a consequence of this action. And it helps you really get in touch with your rational mind and think about, okay, what is really going on here? So that's just a basic, really short overview of distress tolerance. I can go way more in depth into it, but I just wanted to do a short video tonight, and also just talk about how excited I was for the support. But yeah, so one last thing, I'm going home for fall break next week, and then my Labrador Toby is coming back to school with me as my emotional support animal, and I am so freaking excited. Yeah, but I love you guys, and I'm praying for you, and I hope that wherever you are in your recovery, this helps you somehow. Okay, good night.